Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual science classroom. This is your teacher Daryl Del Mundo. And today, we are now going to tackle all about week number 3 of our third quarter. So, this morning, let us have a short prayer. Thank you very much for that wonderful prayer. And Secretary, do not forget to check the number of boys and the number of girls for our attendance today. And do not forget to send it in our group chat. So when we are talking about quarter 3, week number 3, we are talking about distance time graph. So today, we are going to learn more about this type of graph. And to be specific with graphing in motion or graphing motion. Meaning to say, matututo tayo kung paano natin i-graph or i-plot yung mga motion given natin. So for example, meron tayong mga exact motion given. So we are going to graph it. Okay? So yun yung pag-aaralan natin this discussion. So these supplementary learning materials will help us, number 1, line graph the X versus Y axis. And for lesson number 2, we are going to talk about use of diagram in describing motion. So let's just have a short look back. This is what you're going to do. Identify the motion illustrated. So this is illustration number 1, 2, and number 3. So choose your answer from the answer bank and write it on a sheet of paper. So this is the answer bank. We have a linear motion, curvilinear motion, and then circular or rotational motion. So all you have to do is to read the description in each illustration and then write your answer. Okay? And then for lesson number 1, we are going to tackle all about line graph, the X and Y axis. So just a brief introduction to everyone. Graphs are very useful means of representing or presenting information and making it easily understood. It demonstrates trends, patterns, and relationships between sets of data. People find it easy to understand information through the use of graphs or charts. So graphs or charts are of different types. Pie charts, pictograms, organizational charts, flow charts, cosmographs, bar and line graphs. So there are a lot of different types of charts or graphs that we have. So we have this type, this type, this type, and this type, and so on and so forth. So we are going to differentiate the different graphs or charts. So let's start with pie graph. So this is an example of pie graph. So pag nakita kayo ng ganitong below and then may partition or division, that is a pie graph. Kasi para siyang pie. Okay? So pie graph shows values of variables and it is basically a circle divided into segments to show proportion. Okay, next we have pictographs or pictograms. It shows data using pictures as a symbol. So as you can see, it is a lot of pictures for us to be able to understand well. Next, we have organizational chart. So this chart shows the overall structure of a workforce or we can say a company. It can also be shown in different schools or industries. Marahil nakikita nyo to from the top of, for example, sa school, from the top, we have principal or sometimes director or directors. Then assistant to the principal, then the department heads, then the teachers, then so on. Then we have flow chart. So flow chart shows presentation process. For example, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. The flow of different processes. Yung ginagamit flow chart. And then we also have cosmograph. Shows the general picture of the universe. So we can say that this can be used or illustrated in this picture. And then we have bar graph. So we can say that this one is common. So it shows comparison of data using the rectangular bar. So ito yung rectangular bar. And then the last one, we have the line graph. So in the line graph, it is used to display comparison between two variables. Meaning to say, meron kang variable 1, may variable 2 or variable A and variable B. So which are plotted on the horizontal X vertical, and y-axis, yung horizontal yung x, and yung vertical naman yung y-axis of a grid. So it uses lines to connect individual data from one point to another point. So kung saan sila mag-meet. Okay? And the most popular type of graphs because they are the simple or the simplest to create and easy to understand. So ito yung pinaka-basic line graph. So kung saan sila mag-meet, the point where they are going to meet, that is the data point. Okay. So sabihin na natin point of intersection kung saan sila mag-meet. Okay, so for example, this one. This is the point of intersection or data point. This one, this one, this one. Okay, you will learn that. So another part of the introduction is that, as what has stated earlier, bar graph and line graph are graphs that uses x and y axis to interpret the relationship of data. Bar graph with its x and y axis. Ito yun. Y, and then x axis. Y axis, this one, yung pataas. This is the vertical line. And x axis is the horizontal line. Y and then x axis. So yung nasa baba yung x axis, yung nandito sa left side nyo is the y axis. So basically, kaya tayo gumagamit ng different types of bar graphs or different types of graphs or charts like bar graph, line graph, pie graph, and flow chart for us to be able to easily understand the data. So for example, may mga different sets of data tayo na galing sa labas or galing kung saan man tayo nag-research, mas madali nating maintindihan at mas organized. Okay? At mas madali din natin siyang mai-interpret kapag gumagamit tayo ng mga graph and charts. Okay? So this one is an example of bar graph. Ito siya, class, naka-vertical, nakapatayo. This one, naka-horizontal, nakapahiga. Pwede naman yung ganyan. And then this part is a line graph. Very good. Bar graph, and then this one, line graph. So, remember, the horizontal axis is called the x-axis. And the x-axis usually represents measures of time, and the independent variable is plotted along this axis. Independent variable meaning to say, it can stand on its own. Hindi niya kailangan ng iba. Okay? Meaning to say, independent na siya. Kahit siya lang mag-isa, hindi siya mababago. Maliwanag? So, for example, time. So, measures of time. So, hindi na natin pwedeng baguhin yan. So, it is independent. It can stand on its own. Maliwanag? So, doon siya sa x-axis. And then, the vertical axis is called y-axis. The y-axis usually represents percentage of measure or measures of quantity and dependent variable. Ito namang dependent variable, from the word itself, it depends on the independent variable. Okay, ito naman yung nagiging effect. Kung independent variable, this is the cause, then ang dependent variable naman, ito yung magiging effect. Okay? So the dependent variable is plotted in this axis. So the x and y axis cross or meet or intersect at a point which is called the origin. Kung saan sila yung intersection point nila, that is what you call origin. Kung saan sila magtatagpo. Where the coordinates are 0 to 0. So, syempre, doon sila mag-limit talaga. 0 to 0. So, x-axis, let's differentiate the two. Horizontal axis represents measures of time. Independent variable is plotted. While y-axis is the vertical axis, represents percentage or measures of quantity. And dependent variable is plotted in this axis. So, you can differentiate the two between these definitions. Okay, so let's have an example. So, x-axis is the red one. Sorry, this one should be red. Okay, this one should be red, x-axis. And then the blue one is the y-axis. So the point of origin is green on this side. Okay. So origin, this one. Okay. This one is the x-axis. And then, where is the y-axis? Okay, this one. Very good. How about the origin? I told it a while ago. Okay, very good. This is the origin. So this is the red part, and this is the x-axis. The blue part is encircled in blue, which is the y-axis. And then the green part, this one, 0, 0, is the origin. So do not forget that. Always remember that one. So we are going this time to plot points of a motion graph. Ibig sabihin, umaandar na. So for example, a moving bicycle, a moving car, or you are riding a jeepney. So plotting the motion of the object is the best way to determine it. Let us try plotting a motion graph. A rolling ball on a floor is illustrated below. So this is ball 1. So as you can see, within 4 meters, it reaches to the last part or to the finish line. And then from 0 seconds to 4 and then 6 seconds. So 4 meters, then after 2 seconds, naka 4 meters ulit. After 4 seconds, naka 4 meters siya ulit. After 6 seconds, naka 4 meters siya ulit. Okay. So we can say that we can do it in a data table here in our right side. So kanina, di ba? So kung naka 2 seconds siya, naka 4 meters na. After 4 seconds, 4 meters ulit. 6 seconds, 4 meters ulit. And sa 0 seconds, 4 meters din. So we can also get it or do it in a table like this one. Okay, so we have our simple steps in plotting a motion graph for you to do it easily. So these are the different steps. From the given illustration 1, prepare a data table. Mas madaling maintindihan sa kanya na to. 0, first part, or the first column is for time, which is 2, 0, 2, 4, and 6. Like position, meaning to say them in meters, 4, 4, 4, 4. So we have 0 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 meters, 4 seconds, 4 meters, 6 seconds, 4 meters. Plot the value in the table 1 as points on the graph. So time in seconds is plotted on x-axis sa baba because time is independent variable, while position of the car is plotted on y-axis because the position of the car, or sabihin natin in this example, is ball. It's a dependent variable from the plotted graph. It indicates the ball reached 4 meters in 6 seconds. So, kung mapapansin, the same lang yung position, no? May pagbabago kaya? May pagbabago sa oras. But let us look about the position. Okay, so we can say that on this part, when we are going to plot it, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so 0 seconds, ito yung time natin nasa x-axis, and then yung position natin nasa y-axis. This is the independent variable, and this is the dependent variable. So 0 seconds, 4 meters pa rin. Then 2 seconds, 4 meters, 4 seconds, 4 meters pa rin. So we can say that 0, 2, 4, 6. So it is plotted on the same position. Okay, so the line graph is a straight horizontal graph that only shows that the ball has a constant speed or velocity. So the velocity of the ball is not changing. Therefore, we can say that the ball is not accelerating. Kasi yung speed niya constant, meaning to say, hindi nagbago. It stays the same. Maliwanag? Kasi naka-reach siya doon ng 4 meters per second lang yung kanyang takbo. Okay? So, now we are going to apply what we have learned in plotting. So, plotting and reading graphs. So instruction, using the table below, plot the distance and time in the graph. So ito yung ating data table, ipa-plot natin yung dito. Okay, so number 2, is the object move in a constant speed or not? Moving at all. So ito yung pangalawang question natin. So let us start to identify the x and y-axis. Distance in meters, this is the y-axis because it is the dependent variable. And in the y-axis, we have time because time is independent. Okay, so we have 2 meters, 4 meters, 6 meters, 9 meters, then 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, then 9 seconds. So if we are going to plot this one, 2 seconds, then 2 meters, this is what it looks like. There you go. 2 seconds, 2 meters, 4 seconds, 4 meters, 4 seconds, then 4 meters. This one. Then 6 seconds, 6 meters. This one. The point where they are going to meet, this is the intersection point. Then 9 seconds, 9 meters. 9 meters, there you go, 9 meters. And then do not forget to draw a line so that you will be able to interpret it. Okay? What does this graph tell us? So ano kaya ang ibig sabihin nito? Graph na to. There you go. The object moves in a constant speed. So ibig sabihin, hindi siya nag-accelerate, hindi siya bumagal, but the object moves in a constant speed. Okay? Ibig sabihin, hindi na bago yung kanyang speed. Ganun pa din. So, for us to be able to interpret, these are some examples. Letter A, distance time graph in describing motion of the object. So, X and Y motion. Ito yung nakita nyo kanina, right? So, when you see this graph, you can see, if an object is not moving, a horizontal line is shown on a distance time graph. Time is increasing to the right, but its distance does not change. It is not moving, so we say, is it at rest? So, it is at rest, the object is not moving. Kasi hindi naman siya na bago ng position, right? Next. So, pag nakita niyo to, yung kaninang example natin, this is what it talks about or it represents. If an object is moving at a constant speed, so it means that the time increase in distance in a given time. Time is increasing to the right and distance is increasing constantly with time. So the object moves at a constant speed. Constant speed is shown by the straight line on a graph. So ito yun. Note, constant means nothing changing. The distance between dots are the same. So pare-parehas yung kanilang interval. Next, paano pag nakita niyo naman yung ganitong line graph? So it represents that graphs shows acceleration look different from those that show constant speed. So meaning to say, the line on this graph is curving upwards. This shows an increase in speed. So pumilis. Okay? Tumaas yung speed niya. Since the line is getting steeper, in other words, in a given time, the distance the object moves are changed. Meaning to say, getting larger. It is accelerating. And when we are talking about that, meaning to say, at a certain point or at a certain time, it changed its speed. It increased its speed. Okay, bigla siyang bumilis. Sabihin natin, nung ka 9 seconds nga, biglang tumaas bigla. Bumilis. Okay? So, it is easily understood, right? Letter B. So, speed, velocity, time graph. So, in this time, we are going to look at the speed, velocity, time graph. A car is moved from rest on a highway and reach its destination 50 meters from its original position after 5 seconds. Time, itong nasa taas, to 5 seconds position up to 50 meters. So from the given illustration, prepare the data table. So we have time in seconds, position in distance, and then speed and velocity. Meters divided by seconds. Velocity is equal to distance divided by time. Distance divided by time. So 10 divided by 1, 10, 20 divided by 2, 10, 30 divided by 3, 10, 40 divided by 4, 10, 50 divided by 5, 10. That's why we got this one. Okay, so this is an example of the speed velocity time graph. So first, put it in a table. Okay, and then after that, we are going to plot it in a line graph. So using a table to analyze the given data of the car's velocity, number 1, plot the value of the time and velocity in the table 2, yung kanina natin ginawa, as points on the graph. Time, or in seconds, that is plotted on the x-axis because time is an independent variable, while position of the car is plotted along y-axis because the position of the car is the dependent variable. Number 2, draw a straight diagonal line to the points of the graph. So this is the velocity, and this is the time. So from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 seconds. So nasa 10 yung kanyang velocity. Right? So what does it mean? From figure 2, motion described as a constant positive velocity. Okay? So from 0, bumilis, and then it travels in a constant speed kasi hindi na bago yung kanyang velocity. Maliwanag? So it is 10 meters per second. Okay? So from first second, from second, third, fourth, up to fifth, hanggang 5 seconds plus, ibig sabihin, 10 meters yung galaw niya. It is constant, hindi na bago. Pero, bumilis from 0 to 1 second. Kaya siya, constant positive velocity. Okay? Next, so another example. So a car from rest starts to move on a road. After 5 seconds, the car reached its destination, 50 meters from its original position. So the same. So time, here, the top, and position at the bottom. Do not forget to use a data table. So we have here time in seconds, position or distance in meters, and then velocity. Distance divided by time. That's why we got this one. So after using the data table, then plot it. So what can you say about the graph? So 0, 0, and after 1 second, 2 meters, then after 2 seconds, 4 meters, after 3 seconds, 6 meters, after 4 seconds, 8 meters, again 5, then 5 meters per second. Sa 5 seconds, 10 meters per second. So, it simply means that the motion described as a changing positive velocity, which is the result in a slope line when plotted as a velocity time graph. Therefore, the car is accelerating, meaning to say, it changes its speed. Okay? It changes its speed positively. Bumilis. Nagkaintindihan? So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng ganitong itsurang velocity or speed time graph. It changed its velocity, meaning to say it changed its speed. So, as you can see, it accelerates. So, speed time graphs look much like the same as distance time graph. So, be sure to read the label first. So, this is the speed, this is the time, this is the speed, this is the time. Okay, so when you see this part, time is plotted on the x-axis, speed or velocity is plotted on the y-axis. So a straight line or a straight horizontal line on a speed time graph means that the speed is constant. It is not changing over time. While if you see this one, okay, this graph shows increasing speed. The moving object is accelerating, bumilis. Note, accelerate means the object moves quickly or very fast. Amount of speed increases, and then amount of speed increases. As you can see, pataas. So meaning to say, it becomes fast. So this part, okay, when you see this part or this type of speed time graph or velocity time graph, This graph shows decreasing speed. The moving object is decelerating. When we are talking about decelerating, this means that the object moves very slow, not very quickly. This is wrong. Okay. So decelerate means object moves slowly or very slow. Amount of speed decreases. Hindi yan quickly, hindi yan very fast. Hindi. Slow or very slow. Okay. So for lesson number 2, let us use of diagram, or we are going to tackle about the use of diagram in describing motion. So this is part of the introduction. Diagrams or tape charts can also be used in describing the motion of the object. So the use of tape charts or the diagrams here on our right side, which is the ticker tape timer. So these motion diagrams are popular as a ticker tape diagram. So the diagram uses the so-called ticker tape timer. And then the ticker tape timer is a device that could identify the position of the moving object at constant intervals of time. For instance, every second of every 1/10 of second or 1/60th second. That is how to read it. So below is the illustration on how the ticker tape device looks like. So here, this is what the ticker or the ticker tape timer looks like. The tape. Okay, this is the vibrating bar. This is the magnet. Carbon tape disc kung saan they can flap, okay, the different dots as time goes by. So this device marks a dot on a strip of tape, and the trail of the dot will represent the motion of the object as it changes its position over the course of time. So before the use of the computers in physics laboratories, the ticker tape analysis was used. A long tape was attached to a moving object and threaded through a device that placed a tick upon the tape. So may nagtitik. So habang gumagalaw yung object, may mga dotted or nakaplot doon yung dotted dun sa strip tape of paper na yun. So it tick upon the tape at regular intervals of time. As the object moved, it dragged the tape through the ticker, thus leaving a trail of dots. So this is what it looks like after the different type of ticks or after the ticking of the ticker tape. So the trail of dots provided a history of the object's motion. So this one and this one, this is now we call the dot diagram. Dots are far apart. So meaning to say the object moves with higher speed or velocity. Then this one, dots are close to each other, meaning to say the object moves with lower speed or velocity. So based on those different dot diagrams or plotted dot in the ticker tape, we can say that the object moves fast or moves slower. So this one is a constant velocity because as you can see, nothing has changed. So when you see that at first the dot was very close and it becomes apart to each other, meaning to say it speeds up or it's accelerating. It is accelerating. And then when you see this part at the start, when the dots are very far from each other, and then after the end point, it becomes closer to each other, meaning to say it slows down or decelerating, meaning to say the motion of the object decelerates. Okay? And do not forget to answer the following pages in your module. Okay? So watch the video to review and rewatch, then answer the following questions in your modules, which is attached in the Google Classroom. So for lesson number 1, answer pre-test on page 2, page 3, and page 8 to 9. For lesson 2, answer pages 10 and then page 11 for the post-test. Don't forget about it. And then at the end, if you have any clarifications or if you want to ask some questions, you can reach me through my different social media accounts. So you can message me to our group chat, especially to the Facebook page that I've given to you. So here, you feature that because Don't message me in my personal account because sometimes I will not see your messages. And that's the end for our quarter 3, week number 2. I hope you learned something today and see you next week. God bless you.